The opinions expressed on this program are those of the program host and guest and are not necessarily those of this station, management, staff, and sponsors. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time now for the Crown Car Care Show. Call in with questions and comments, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. Now, here's your host.
Well, hello, everybody. It's November 19th, and it's a fabulous week, isn't that right?
How did that happen? How do we get to November 19 already?
Well, my kids wanted to have a week off, and now we got it.
Yeah.
In fact, both my kids, Max and Eden, they both have off school this entire week.
Good golly.
I'm seeing them all the time. No matter
all
what.
Kids all the time.
They're everywhere. We've got kids in the showroom. We've got kids at home. They're all over the place. And it's a good thing. I love kids, and I love this time of the year.
It's what keeps you young.
Yeah.
I think so.
And let me tell you, we have a special guest with us today. We do
indeed.
And he comes all the way from Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. And in fact, the name of his company is the name of the town that he is from, but his company is from. But this is Crown Car Care. This is our weekly radio show. And like I say, it's just about the end of the year, isn't it? Christmas is almost here.
Yeah.
Everybody getting their Christmas shopping done. I've been out 3 or 4 times rounding up the gifts.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when you have a business, you have some people that work with you, and you want to get them gifts too. They stick around next year.
Well, let them know you're thinking about them.
Absolutely.
You think well of them. Sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we've decided this year our Christmas party is going to be at a real nice restaurant. They're going to cook Japanese food right on our table.
Oh, yeah. Benihana's.
Yeah. Good food over there.
Yes. I know it well.
We have 2 locations to serve you here in Martin County. We've got a spot over there in Palm City, which is our original location. We've been there 13 years. Long time. And we have a spot over there at Cove Road. Mike at Cove Road and Chris at Palm City are there to serve you. They're both our service managers, and boy, they're good. They've been with me a long time. They know what they're doing. They can help you with anything from setting the radio to setting the time on the radio to putting a set of wiper blades on or getting your brakes inspected. By gosh, we can do it for you at any of our locations at Crown Car Care. And why don't we go into the news?
Let's do that. So GM made the news 17 hours ago. This just came up on the internet. General Motors is talking about their pickups mile per gallons, and they're telling their the buyers, don't look at the label.
Please don't look at this. Nothing to see here. Right. Move along, young man.
It'll only confuse you.
It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz and that curtain that Toto pulled away.
Right. Ford, this also took place 17 hours ago. Ford is telling folks that they aim to simplify again.
Oh.
And this has to do with their side mirror configuration package.
Simplifying things.
They're trying to simplify.
I know there are about 6 or 8 years ago when that Mulady took over their CEO. His was a one step, one plan. He was a CEO from, I believe, Continental or one of the airlines.
Right.
And really not clean things up, but made things very easy to see. Yeah. You didn't have to put sunglasses on or special glasses to see what Ford was doing. They had a clear vision, and that was what he provided, clear vision.
Yeah. So apparently some financial issues. They're doing these changes not for creativity reasons, but for financial reasons. So yeah.
I have some bit of news here. Some interesting news here.
Mm-hmm.
Ram sales rise 9%. There's definitely peachy news right here for FCA. Across the board, vehicle sales through September are up 15% over last year's September 17 numbers. Mm-hmm. Interesting that Ram is doing quite well.
Yes.
And as they had that restructuring with Fiat.
Yes.
Fiat. That's what the F stands for in FCA is Fiat.
There's interesting things in the news, by the way, about Nissan fired Goshen for alleged financial misdeeds, and in fact, he's already been arrested.
You're kidding me? Well, remember, and this is what I preach: is he was a very flamboyant.
Yes,
he was a flamboyant CEO that I suspect. When you're flamboyant, a lot of times you don't realize it, but you're actually taking your eye off the ball, which is your duty,
right?
As a CEO and leader of the company, right? That's your duty. You're the head of that organization,
right?
It's not your job to be flamboyant. It's your job to be what?
Watchful.
at bat,
Yes.
keeping track of the tides and when the winds are changing direction, so you can steer that big old ship, the SS Renault, around the ocean great, right?
So yeah, he's in for a little bit of trouble there. Yeah. So Nissan chairman Carlos Ghosn was arrested in Japan, and the Japanese car maker he once saved from the brink of bankruptcy now plans to fire the high-flying executive for allegedly being the mastermind behind significant financial.
Did you hear the word high flying? Exactly as I just said.
Yes.
Let me tell you, we have a special guest, and I'd like to get right into it because our hour goes fast. For some reason, time flies at Crown Car Care.
It does.
It could be our good content. I don't know if it's our fabulous co-host. I don't know what it is, but it's something that time travels fast. And welcome,
lots to cover.
Gary Duckworth from Jasper Engines and Transmissions is here. He didn't fly in directly from Jasper, Indiana, but he's here with us, and he's a local.
Yeah, his arms didn't look tired, so I know he didn't fly in. So
and he has a lot to offer us. He has a lot to say. And welcome, Gary.
Welcome. I appreciate you guys having me in here.
Well, one of the things not too many people know all of the different types of companies out there that provide services in the automotive industry, especially somewhat behind the scenes companies. And I would have to say, I know who Jasper is. Why don't you tell us what is Jasper, who is Jasper, and maybe a little bit of history of the company?
It's got a very unique history. Well, I shouldn't say too unique. And actually, a lot of companies started during World War II, and that's where we started. We were a Ford dealership back then.
No, Ford, interesting.
A gentleman named Alvin Ruxer owned the Ford dealership, had the Five and Dime, they had the bank, horse farm, one of those small town guys. And Ford, I guess, made the announcement they're going to be building some Jeeps and some tanks and stuff for the war effort. And you guys are on your own for figuring out drivetrains and keeping cars going. So we
his wheels were turning inside of his head.
We got to do something here.
There's opportunity here.
So we started making remanufacturing some engines, and of course back then there was no such thing as remanufactured. Your technician, honed your block and lapped your valves and did all that in house. So we started doing that, and before we know it, we were selling some engines to some other dealerships and had a contract from Ford until it got to one point where Ford really liked what we were doing and said, "We want you to close down here in Jasper, and we want you to move to Louisville and grow your operation." And since Alvin was pretty much Jasper was his town, he said, "I don't think I'm going to do that, guys. I think I'm going to stay right here in Jasper." And they said, "Well, you either do it or we'll pull the contract." And he said, "That's fine."
I love people that believe in what they say and they do what they say. And especially with a company like yours for the long haul, because you're here sitting with me and I can tell you the size of your company. I don't know if Alvin would ever have fathomed the size of your company today.
Probably not. Yeah. At the age, at 76 years into this, we're in nationwide. We do some international sales. We have 4 manufacturing facilities, each building being 8 to 10 acres under roof.
Yes.
So you and I were talking earlier about different companies in this business, and fortunately or unfortunately, I guess there's not a lot of competition.
There is not a lot of competition, and you're not a flash in the pan. And before we get any deeper into this, I think we need to explain to our listening audience, what is it the heck you do? What is it that you provide to Crown Car Care that enables us to establish and reaffirm the customer experience as well as the satisfaction level that we're always accustomed to?
Well, in a nutshell, what we basically do is we can drop off to your shop a fully remanufactured engine, transmission, transfer case, rear differential, most of the major drivetrain components.
And some diesel components too.
Diesel components, turbochargers, fuel components.
Wow.
Yes, it's most people are used to taking their old battery to the parts store and getting a new battery. It's basically akin to that. You guys make the engine exchange in your shop. You always do good installs, and we really appreciate that. And then we get to grab the old engine, take it back to Indiana, do a full remanufacturing, basically just saving the old castings and putting all new internals in it, testing it, making sure it's good to go, sending it back out for another customer with a 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
Now, Gary, if once we've sold this, or the customer has agreed to putting in, say, a remanufactured, say, diesel engine, let's say they have a F-250 Super Duty 2007 and need a 6-liter diesel engine put in. Is that something that your company would supply us?
Oh, absolutely. That's still a very popular engine for us. Those trucks have a great value, both in the workplace and in just guys who want to tow their boat around. And we would drop the engine off as a running complete engine to you guys.
Now, would that be UPS would ship that? How would it get to our shop?
It actually comes on our trucks. That's one
your
of the
trucks.
things.
So you have your own trucks.
We have our own fleet of trucks. That's something Alvin started earlier on. We realized, Alvin, I guess, owning a bank and the five and dime in town, he really doesn't like outsourcing to anybody. So he thought, well, if we're going to deliver engines, we'll deliver it on our trucks. And now we run a significant fleet across America. It's kind of its own business, just running these trucks back and forth. And we got.
No, I knew that answer. I asked you, Gary, because I just wanted to get it out to our listening audience, and I can tell you that's one of the not selling points, but it's one of those foundation that pole that goes down 30 feet into the earth that really foots your company into one of those positions that says we got it, we know what we're doing, we have the whole system figured out, we got it dialed in, and there's a reliable factor there. If you tell me. Remember, when customers' engines fail, for the most part, they're not going to give us a forewarning. A lot of times you could throw a connecting rod, or you could overheat and blow a head gasket and warp and crack the engine or the cylinder head. And you're going to need something, I'm going to say fairly quick. And your company can deliver it to me quick.
Yeah, downtime is always a concern, whether you're, like I said, a soccer mom or a fleet. We're at a stage in our country where vehicles are very important. And that's a livelihood. And we've minimized that downtime.
Do you have regional locations and hubs where you keep different?
We do. Actually, I think we're about 55 hubs across America now. We just opened one in Jacksonville. So we have 3 locations here in Florida where we keep units in stock so we can get quicker
Some
delivery.
of your big movers that you would keep.
Yeah. I mean, there's the number of SKUs is huge. So it's difficult to keep the right unit in stock. But
if I was to ask you, Gary, how many engines that you offer, just off the top of your head, how many engines? It can be different configurations of the same motor, but how many different part numbers for motors would you say off the top of your head you offer?
I know a lot about this company, but I don't know how many.
Would you say more than 150?
Oh, thousands, like literally thousands of different part numbers.
Really?
Yeah, because you think about the different configurations.
But that's a big animal.
Oh, it's not
just
difficult.
Many companies, and I can tell you, as everybody knows, or maybe everyone doesn't know, we do a lot of diesels at Crown Car Care. And for example, let's just say we needed a FICM for a 6-liter diesel. There's many companies out there. That's all they do. They'll offer you an FICM, which is a fuel injection control module, but they won't offer anything else. And they might be good at that one offering, but they don't. There's nothing else that I can get from them other than that. Your company not only provides a superior product, provides support in the delivery and the pickup, the behind the scenes, the follow up, the cover up, which is what we'll talk about here in a little bit. But your company offers a wide breadth of product samplings and options and choices for not only the customer, but for us, the shop installer. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, it's about meeting the customer's demands and needs. And, as that's many years in business, you keep learning new things where you can help the customers out with. And it kind of led us into, recently offering turbochargers and injectors and FICMs and those components that also help keep that vehicle up and running.
What is warranty or follow-up is a big, not issue, but it's a big talking point in my world, because I'm only as good as my customer is satisfied with my services and my products that I offer them. And if I offer a product, for example, that lasts 1 year, but in the second year we have a failure, that if it isn't wrapped right, for no better word, can cause me headaches as a business owner to provide that kind of service to my customer. And I know Jasper has spectacular warranty in your industry. You're one of the leaders in that. We got you covered. You're in a safe spot. Don't you worry. Is that right?
That is, and you bring up an interesting point, Todd. There's so many businesses that can start a website. It's very easy to start a website nowadays.
Oh yeah.
And, everybody's talking about buying parts online, and Amazon's getting into auto parts and stuff like that.
I cringe.
Yeah. And that is, yes, providing a part is one thing, but if the part's the wrong part or doesn't function properly, what happens when something happens is the thing.
You're only as good as your best mistake.
Yeah.
Right. And I can tell you, I've been using Jasper Motors in both of my shops for, I'm going to say years. And that is reality. You're one of my exclusive service provider, product and service providers for that type of product. And I choose you even over some of the factory offerings. In fact, most and all of the factory offerings. Unless you don't offer the product, I'm forced to go somewhere else. but your follow-up service, your quality, your behind the scenes technical information and advice that you offer. And that's something that I don't know of any other company that has like a hotline that you can call and talk to. You have a whole battery of people that do nothing but answer the phones and help your customers, which happens to be like Crown Car Care.
Well, it is kind of unique. And, when you talk about that aspect, one of the separations you find with other companies is you're not dealing with the manufacturer of the product. If you call a parts store and get a part and there's something wrong or doesn't appear to be the right application, you're talking to a guy at a parts counter had nothing to do with manufacturing the part. So his technical knowledge is going to be as limited as the SKU number he's looking at online. When you call us, you're literally talking to the manufacturer. And if we don't have the answer, we'll just walk downstairs to our factory and talk to someone who's actually building the product and figure that out.
There's no spin. It's a no spin zone at Jasper. And I can tell you, you're not going to have spotlights coming out of Jasper, Indiana with the bat signal on it. You're not going to have fancy cars going to and from Jasper with high overpaid executives. It is a mom and pa, but big, down to earth type company that probably everyone there at Thanksgiving is eating a home roasted turkey with mashed potatoes, with their family in Jasper, Indiana, despite the fact that it's in the Midwest and despite the fact that it's a small town and there's not a lot to do there other than see Jasper stuff. If I'm not, I've been there. It's Jasper everywhere.
A lot of cornfields
and a lot of Jasper.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go anywhere. Anytime you see a big building in Jasper, Indiana, you know who's got their fingers in it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yes.
And one aspect that it would be important to hit on is in 2000, actually about 9 years ago this month, the two families that own the company made the announcement that they were selling the company to the employees. Wow. So for the last 9 years, we've been an employee-owned company. And that's pretty important. I mean, the guy who literally machines the block to the guy who delivers the product to myself, we all
you have an ownership stake in the company. Is that right, Gary?
Absolutely.
Well, that really is displayed through everything that we've been talking to up to this point on this show. Now my answers or questions are answered. It makes sense to me that how can such a company of yours, of how many employees?
Well, with our sister company that we purchased another company called Weller Truck Parts a few years ago. We're probably around 3,000 employees.
3,000 employees. How can you guys be on your game all the time? Well, you know why? Because you're committed and you're dedicated. And you got a piece of the action, and you have a stake in the ownership.
We call it our culture. I mean, that's just how our culture is. Yeah. It's and you I see it in your shop too. And
I am nothing to that size.
Well, to be straightforward though, you're in the shop. I see you there. You keep a standard and you expect a standard. And once that standard is set, that becomes the culture.
Absolutely, and that's the way we run it.
I'm in auto shops every day, and I've gone to auto shops where the culture is that you can throw trash on the floor. I mean, and that's their culture. It's certainly not what goes on in your shop.
No.
But that's once that standard is set, your employees will live up to that standard, and we keep a pretty high standard at Jasper. We used to have a saying years ago: "We're a world-class company because we choose to be a world-class company," and it's just that simple. We want to be the leaders in our industry, and that's the attitude we have throughout the company.
Frank, what do you think of this whole talk about Jasper? What's your take on this?
Very
deal?
Impressed.
Yeah.
I would love to take a tour.
I know you would.
Yeah.
You know who's taking a tour?
You are.
Yeah, and towards the end of the show, I'm going to give some of the highlights.
Nice.
Some interesting stuff I saw.
Yeah.
Go-karts.
Really?
Yeah.
Do it right and have fun.
Yeah. Fast go-karts and all kinds of neat stuff. And I saw things, and I got lost a couple times.
Did you really?
One time I ended up in the CEO's office. I didn't know what to do.
Todd's a very curious guy. We had to reel him in every now and then.
I think we're getting close to break here. Why don't we take a break, and when we come back, Gary, I'd like to discuss with you in today's age, in 2018, why is it so important to have a company like yours in our business?
Right.
All righty. We'll be right back, so stick with us. right, now it's time for today's Southeast AgNet Report, which is brought to you by Everglades Farm Equipment, a family-owned business for the past 50 years with 10 Florida locations, including Fort Pierce, Okeechobee, and Loxahatchee. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. You're listening to Crown Car Care with your host, Todd Harris.
Well, gosh, on break, we just had a little visitation from
We
someone
did.
from the North Pole.
Yeah, little elf. You know, remember last week we talked about the launch of Apollo 12.
Yes, we did.
And guess what happened a week later?
What was that?
They landed on the moon.
Oh, my gosh.
That was incredible. Okay.
So this is a scene from the movie From the Earth to the Moon. They did
Oh.
it, and they featured Apollo 12.
You guys did outstanding targeting. I'll tell you, that thing
And
was right
so,
down the middle. Beautiful. I just want to say it was a real pleasure riding with the #1 aviator. Way to
Anyway,
go,
so that many years ago from Apollo 12's launch, we had a chance to talk about it last week, and now this week we talk about the landing.
And I can tell you, here's a
Very
little
successful
story
mission.
close to home. My
Yeah.
mother, who actually lives, we built an addition on the side of our house, and she's staying with us now for many years to come. She was friends with James Lovell from Apollo 13. Grew up, and interesting guy.
That was an amazing.
That was the guy, the commander that
Yes.
Tom Hanks played and brought
Yes.
that ship. The real guy.
Yes.
Parents
Yes.
knew him,
Oh,
friends
yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
Interesting. And he never talked about space stuff. He
No.
never talked about it. Never talked about it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the way those
He's
unsung heroes.
They were
is-
lunch pail guys, you know.
yeah, they
and-
were, but they
yeah.
did their. It's kind of like
Right.
Jasper Engines, and that's
Right.
what I was talking
Right.
with Gary before the show started. They do
They-
the job. They get it done.
They're,
There's no spotlights on them.
they're not full of themselves.
Jasper
Yeah.
trucks keep running up and down the highway, thick or thin, economy good, economy bad. What's going on with the president or what's going on with South Korea, North Korea? Doesn't matter. Jasper's got their trucks running up and down, delivering them products,
That's right.
just like Santa does like Christmas Day, right? Let's talk about this subject, and this is a really good subject, especially with the world of inflation and the way things cost today. I don't know what the average price of a pickup truck is these days, but I can tell you what a diesel costs, about 80,000,
Yeah.
about 80 grand,
I know the average price of a new car last year was $36,000.
$36,000, Frank, for a new car. That's a lot of money.
I know it.
Now
And
imagine,
you don't get the $7,500 credit like you do on the Teslas either.
no, that's $150,000 $50,000.
Well, yeah,
He's on. That's on my wish list for Santa. You know?
the Model X.
You
Yeah,
know, it is. It's on the wish list. I don't know if I'll ever see it or not.
Did you know that the Model 3 was supposed to be the Model X,
Ooh.
and he was sued by another car manufacturer which uses that model distinction. So he had substituted Model 3, but his cars were supposed to be Model X, Model S, and Model E. So SEX is what he was looking for. Was that?
I'm shaking
I'm-
my head.
I'm glad- I'm glad he
Please.
went with the Model 3.
Help us all, please. Let's get back to reality.
Oh,
Let's
God.
put our feet back in Martin County here and have some fun.
Oh my God.
So the average price is $36,000
Yeah.
for a new car, and I'm telling you, $80,000 will put you right in the seat of a brand new diesel, 4-door, probably 4-wheel drive. A lot of money. Let's do a hypothetical. You're getting towards the end of your payment plan on that vehicle, and you're out of warranty, and you have a transmission or a powertrain problem. What are you going to do? You going to roll the dice again and get into that payment plan for another 6, 7, 8 years, or are you going to fix it? A lot of people are afraid to fix it because of the fear
Right.
of the unsafe, uncharted world of remanufactured engines and transmissions.
Right.
But listening audience, I've got news for
And
you.
there's so many horror stories about
There is a
Yes.
company that comes in on white horses. Their trucks are white, and it is called Jasper. Gary, can you lead into this one?
Absolutely. In talking to a lot of shop owners like yourself for the last 18 years with Jasper, that is a theme that always comes up. The person they were unsure about spending money on their car, or they went over to the car dealership. And I get news for you people: if you go to the car dealership with a broken car,
You're going to
you're
drive away with a
coming
new
home
one.
with a car. That's their job.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
right. They're not going to fix it.
Yeah, they're gonna make the new cars are cool. They're cool, man. But the reality is, we all know the math. You got to pay sales tax on that car.
The
So-
sales tax a lot of times is more than the repair is to fix
Isn't it
your other
amazing?
one that's still nice.
How many times have we quoted out a $3,000 transmission job and the customer denies that repair, and they just want a new car, and they go and buy a car and they pay $3,000 in sales tax, and then they have to drive the car home. And then
What
now it's a
happens?
used
Okay, now they
car.
got used. Okay, then the problems ensue.
Right, because now you have a used car. So if you go home and you change your mind and you said, you know what, we really don't need this $800 car payment, let's take it back. No, you don't take it back
Mm-mm.
because now it's a used car.
That's
So
right.
it's worth $5,000 or $6,000 less. So basically, the trip home costs you sales tax, costs you whatever interest you're paying. on the
3
loan.
times the repair is what my math says.
Yeah, yeah.
If you lose 6 and it costs you 3, you got 3. That's three transmissions that we could have put in that rascal.
They're working on that $36,000 car. I did the math one time. Without insurance and any taxes or state fees, you're about $7,500 a year to park that thing in your driveway, just to say you own
a lot of money.
one of those things. And then next year another 7,500. Next year another 7,500. So when you look at a repair, I'm sure they could go to your shop and you guys could put an engine or trans in it. You could put new tires on it. You could put new brakes on it. You could probably send it out and have it detailed and fix
it would look just cherry.
put in. Yeah, it would smell nice. You could even put a little backup camera in if they want.
Absolutely.
And come home, at
with a vehicle that's paid for, and maybe if you did had a finance, maybe for a couple of months on a credit card, or maybe some external financing from an outside organization, within maybe 4 to 6 months, at least the darn thing's paid for.
Yeah.
And then you're back at ground zero, owning the vehicle with no expenses,
No
other than
payments.
just other than just car and gas and insurance.
Yeah, that's what we always say. It's kind of easy terms. Instead of like 60 payments, basically you have like, one big payment, one down payment, no interest, no payments for 60 months.
Well, I think
You know?
there's I calculate in my head 2 reasons why people would say, well, gosh, I never thought about that. Or, gosh, I thought about it, but I've had so many bad experiences, I don't want to do it. So that there's 2 lines of thoughts
It's the
there.
fear of the unknown.
One is many people don't know that there is a good place called Jasper Island that you can go to and find friendliness, happiness, and quality stuff. If you don't know about Jasper Island, then you're never going to be able to taste it, experience it, or even have the joy of not having a car payment.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the one side of it. The other side is I'm so tainted by so many of the bogus companies out there that I don't want to take the risk and plunge. The beauty of what we're saying here is all you listening audience out there, right here in Martin County, Crown Car Care is that honest, good place that you can go to, the Crown Car Care Island. You can hang out with us, and you're going to get good service and good product. And if Crown Car Care says this is one of our preferred vendors that we do business with, and we know that you're going to be safe, then not only are you minimizing risk with Jasper, you're minimizing risk with Crown Car Care, and you're entering into the safe zone. And what I'm saying is if you are my customers and you love and trust Crown Car Care, that's why you're there. Then when Crown Car Care presents an option to you as a viable alternative to a new vehicle, it is worthy of looking at. You provide a good choice.
Thank you. One of the questions that we always say a customer should ask themselves, if you didn't have this problem, if the engine didn't go, the trans didn't go, would you have been comfortable driving this car for 2 or 3 more years? If the answer is yes, then obviously you need to fix the car.
Right. It's just they want to pull the trigger and get out of the problem. And see, in today's fast world, isn't that right, Frank? Everyone wants to minimize problems.
Yeah.
They
Make me happy now.
Make me happy now.
Right.
And a lot of times it's a bad choice.
Yeah.
I argue getting rid of a vehicle for the sake of getting rid of it because you don't want to take the plunge in repowering it or putting the transmission in it or putting a turbocharger on it. That's right. Jasper sells turbochargers. Oh, that boosts the power up.
More power.
Now I know the next question is does Jasper make a kit that you can put it on my car? No, they don't make kits to put it. It's for a factory type turbocharger. That would be something that came on it. There's no hop up kits. Jasper isn't a hop up company, if I'm not mistaken. You do offer
a little bit, but basically we figured
you're bigger, more safety and reliability and durability.
The sweet spot is keeping people on the move, keeping America running.
Now there is a side business, and maybe not a side business, but it's something that you do. Let's say you have a vintage car, and you have a numbers matching block that has the VIN stamped in it. Can Jasper be of help to someone like that? Tell me about that.
The cool thing is, since we've been around 76 years, chances are the engine you're sending us to be custom built for your vintage car, we already built them originally when that car was relatively new. We still pour Babbitt bearings for Model A's because we used to build Model A engines. We can still do all the old pushrod muscle car engines.
Really? Oh, that's cool. I didn't see that when I was there, but there was many doors I didn't get to open. They kind of shut me down once I got loose.
Special little cabinet where we have the molds for the old Babbitt bearings.
No, that's fascinating. That's fascinating.
Yeah. But it's a neat because, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, every town used to have a machine shop that you could send a cylinder head to and stuff. And most of those guys have gone to the wayside, and progress marches on. So now there's no local machine shop, and so we basically pick up the role as a local machine shop, or like a company like Todd could take the engine out of your car, we'd pick it up, send it to Indiana.
Now tell me about enhancements and improvements to an existing product. Is that something that Jasper delves into? I know you have a whole engineering department. Tell me about what you do with, say, known issues with the transmission or known issues with the motor, and you're having to offer it as a rebuild.
Well, as we were talking before we got on the air, the manufacturers have really had to scramble in the last 5 or 6 years trying to keep up with these fuel mileage standards and stuff. So a lot of new products. I would venture to say that if you go out and look at a car today, chances are that engine and transmission was only developed in the last couple of years.
And it takes you boys, you don't just jump into a particular engine. You research it, you look into the known source.
Right. Well, we have to find the known problems first. And then when we get the feedback, the beauty of where we sit in the industry is we kind of sit back on the sidelines and we go, what GM do? Okay, maybe there's a better way of doing that, or what Chrysler do with that. And then we don't have the same requirements that they have. These companies are producing literally millions of engines. We were talking about FCA before with Fiat building that 3.6. It's in pretty much every Chrysler vehicle now.
Yes,
they've produced somewhere around 9 million of those vehicles.
Pentastar, I think.
Pentastar engine, yeah. There's a couple bolts on there that I think even the engineers at Chrysler would say, yeah, we probably could have done that a little better.
Yes.
One bolt in particular is about 50 cents cheaper than it should have been, but there's 6 of those bolts per engine, and there's 9 million engines. So someone at FCA decided to use a cheap bolt.
But it adds up. When you're dealing with large numbers of
50, $60 million, they say, by going with a cheaper bolt.
Right.
Now, we're doing substantially less than that. in as far as number of engines go, and we can afford to put $6 worth of bolts into
But
one of these.
one
engines.
of you're not building a motor to just make a margin or a profit or pocket money. You're building a motor for durability, for longevity. So when that parent's child maybe grows up, they know and trust that name, Jasper. It's a name.
Well,
it's a
our name
family
is on the
name.
package.
You can trust it.
Absolutely, our name is on the package, and we can't continue to grow as a company if we're not turning out the best product we can. But we do cover a 3-year, 100,000-mile parts and labor warranty.
Yeah. What is that? That 3 years, 100,000 miles,
And that
Boy,
warranty
that's-
stays with the car. So basically, every product we've ever sold, we've had a 3-year warranty since I've been with the company for 18 years. So every product we sold in the last 18 years had a 3-year warranty on it.
Wow.
Regardless of how many owners own that vehicle. So if there's a problem with that, I'm stroking a check and sending another product out. So we have a financial interest in making sure that our product exceeds
You have
our
an
warranty.
interest of minimizing return visits of
Absolutely.
that particular engine or transmission, because
Yeah,
not
you-
only is it a satisfaction enhancement for the customer, but it is also a pocket enhancement for Jasper.
That's what
And
they
the
call a win-win. Where
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's
we have
win-win.
less warranties and you have less problems. Absolutely.
right, everybody wins.
Yeah.
I wish the whole world was that way. I do wish everything in our life was that way. I can tell you, though, it's not always. Many times I see other businesses win and me as the consumer lose. So
There's a lot of businesses out there where the people who manufacture the part isn't the name that's on the box.
how true that is.
Right. So if you think about it, how much do they have to really put into that product if they're not actually the company going to be taking the hit for it?
how many flash in the pan companies are nothing but a reboxer?
Absolutely.
And you see it also in in your world. There are companies out there that do nothing but are handling that product, that particular rebuilt motor. You don't know where it was done, who did it, how they did it, whether there was enhancements. I can tell you in the transmissions in Jaspers, many times you have a billet torque converter on some of your I believe your Dodge transmission.
Anything, the diesel units, we know guys are going to use their diesel trucks, or at least we assume they're going to use them as an actual truck. So we can make some serious enhancement using billet pieces. In fact, we just came out with a transmission for the Dodge diesels, which has, I can't even tell you how many upgrades into a billet pieces put inside the transmission to make it stronger.
Make it stronger so it's more durable and it has a greater shelf life.
We've gone
which
to the
is in the
step
vehicle.
of designing our own pistons. We have our own engineers who design our own pistons and stuff. We design our own rings. We work directly with the gasket manufacturers to design our own gaskets. So it's literally not just a freshened up version of what came in your car. We can come in.
And I'm
after
going
the
to tell
fact.
you, with diesels, any of you diesel listeners out there, if you have, let's take, for example, the 6-liter diesel, you can order that with head studs.
Yeah.
And we have done that in the past. Crown Car Care always gets head studs on any of their diesels.
That's one of
And-
our options, but there's some things in that engine that we don't give you options on. There's a
there's
a heavy
pure
duty water
durability.
pump
Oh,
in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah,
different.
yeah.
There's different. The bulletproof EGR coolers. That's just how
Something
we
you
build it.
do.
Yeah.
And that is good to know that the talk is there and it's real. If Jasper, it's not false advertising. You're not seeing weird, two-sided statements that mean one thing to one thing, and a lawyer means another thing to the legalese side of it. It is real meat and potatoes company that offers a legitimate product, and the joy is Crown Car Care uses them, and it provides the great service that everyone's accustomed to at Crown Car Care. And we have 2 locations to serve you. We have one on Cove Road. Mike over there is the service manager, and boy, he's been with me over 10 years. 10 years Mike's been with me.
Wow.
And that address is 4455 Southeast Cove Road. And it's a fabulous location. There's a lot of space there. We have a beautiful African cichlid fish tank in there. So if you like fish, come over and see our fish tank. It's just beautiful. There's purple and yellow fish in there. They're not saltwater, but freshwater. Lovely waiting room. We sell batteries and tires there through St. Lucie Battery and Tire. They're one of our partner companies that we do business with and for, as well as they do the same with us.
All right.
Fabulous organization, and they sell tires and batteries over there. And Freddie is the manager over there with that organization. And boy, what a great guy he is. If you have any tire questions or concerns, that Cove Road shop is the one to go talk to. They really know their stuff there. And in Palm City, it goes without saying. That's our mother store. That's the one that started it all. That's 772-781-8000. That's the phone number there. And Chris is a service manager. And I believe it's time for a break.
It is indeed. We'll be right back.
Let's
So
go. Yep.
stick with us. We've got much more to cover.
We're back. Boy,
We are
this
indeed.
hour went fast. We've had a great
Yes.
guest, Gary Duckworth from Jasper Engines and Transmissions. He's fed us some fabulous information. I'd like to
Yes.
finish up the show if we could, Gary. I'd like to maybe talk a little bit about a tour I took of your facility over there in Jasper, Indiana, and I'll tell everybody a little bit about some of the tidbits I saw and how interesting it was. The biggest thing that I saw, Gary, was the size. It's an enormous place, isn't it?
It's a big facility. The main facility, we've just added on. I think we're pretty close to about 10 acres under roof.
10 acres.
Yeah, it's a big
It's
facility.
Big place.
I'd hate to get your AC bill.
I'd hate to get lost in the place.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing is, we actually do AC. That building's got air conditioning, and then our other building, which is 8 acres, we air conditioning half of that building.
Can you imagine getting lost in a building like that?
Oh yeah, I can imagine easily getting lost.
Oh,
in
I did.
something that- Wow.
I ended up in the marketing department.
Do you need like a device that pings your location so that people
Well,
can find you?
I kind of slipped. We were going around a corner. We were in the main location.
Yeah.
And we were looking at some drill presses and some of the old original equipment. We had gone around the corner. They showed us where a lot of the people that work there washed their hands and clean up. And then we were talking about, I think, spark plug wires and some other things. And for some reason, I took the wrong turn. I don't know what happened. I ended up on the marketing floor. I was talking with guys, and there was whiteboards, and and everyone was friendly to me.
Of course.
I ended up in the CEO's office. I think his name is Doug. Am I right? Yeah, I ended up with him.
That's pretty cool.
It was just a cool thing, and I deliberately got lost, by the way. I was trying to open them doors here. You're not supposed to open. But you know what I did? And they were all friendly and nice, and they fed me all kinds of information like I was part of their company.
Yeah.
And that was what was so cool about it.
Yeah.
I got to ask the questions behind the scenes
Mhm.
that nobody really is. Well, most people are afraid to ask. I did. And they answered them forthcoming and frank because there's nothing to hide there. Another
That's
thing
very cool.
Another thing I noticed at the tour was everywhere I look, there are places for the people to work to respond and give feedback to the process improvement, isn't it? Don't you guys practice continuous improvement?
They're definitely. We, in fact, I think last year or 2 years ago, we had 12,000 suggestions, and we implemented about 90% of those suggestions, which in corporate world is an outstanding record.
That I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Even when I walk through the factory, I see little things, little tidbits, and little contraptions they put up. Just to save a step, or we're very conscious of body fatigue. You know, when you got people doing repetitive motion over and over again, workman's comp claims, hurt the bottom line, and we're like, why should we do that? You know, if we can help somebody or reduce a lifting. One of the things that I thought was kind of neat when I toured the factory early on, we had a sandblast cabinet, and the sandblast cabinet was on airbags, like you'd have a car.
Yeah.
And so you could raise and lower the sandblast cabinet, and I'm like, that had to cost a fortune to do that. Why did we do that? Well, someone walked through the plant one day, and we have different shifts and different employees, and a lady who was about 5 feet tall had to use that cabinet. And in order for her to use the cabinet, she had to stand on a milk crate. And someone said, "Wait a minute, there's got to be a better way."
Yeah, that's
so we made the cabinet so that for the person on the night shift who was 6 feet tall, he could hit the button and raise it, and then when she comes in, she can lower it.
And efficiencies are improved. Injuries are minimized. Productivity is maximized.
When you look at the cost of doing that over someone's 15-year, 20-year career with the company, I mean, what are you talking? You're talking $1 a day or something to make sure this lady doesn't fall off.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Another thing I noticed on the tour was every one of your machines. What can you tell me? What kind of label is on every piece of fixed equipment and capital equipment that you have in your?
You talking about the investment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every piece of equipment has that.
Yeah, well, especially being an employee-owned company too, it's neat for you guys to see, but it's also important for us to know. When you're looking at a CNC machine, it literally could be $200,000 we spent on that CNC machine. So it just adds value to the employees and to the general.
Well, I happen to see you had some I don't like Bridgeport type milling machines that were like old, and the tour guide made a specific point of showing. The condition of the equipment, how well it's maintained and used, and why it's still needed today, and the age of it. And I'm telling you, the age, it was old. I mean, this thing was like before I was born.
You can't necessarily get.
Well, that's what I'm leading up to here. You can't get this stuff anymore.
We're waiting. We're hoping to release the new Ford 5-liter engine soon, but we actually have to have a special CNC machine developed to do the heads on that.
Oh,
And-
interesting. That's the Coyote motor that
Coyote
they use
engine.
in the Mustang, right?
Yeah, and if you can imagine those companies that are producing, $300,000 or $400,000 machines, they don't build them for stock. There's not a
Right.
300,000 or 400,000 machines sitting in a warehouse someplace.
That's right. That's right.
So you order that, and they tell you what year you will get your piece of equipment. And we're hoping that piece of equipment will be built custom for us and delivered soon, so we can continue production of that engine.
Another thing I noticed when I was on the tour was I saw all these dynamometers and exhaust piping and fuel systems. That you actually have a fuel system that runs through pipes, if I'm not mistaken, that whether it's gas or I don't know what it
For
is.
the
but-
diesels, you mean? Or-
Yes, to run them.
Yeah.
If I thought that was most interesting that you have it's run through piping like in a hospital, the lines.
Well, we wanted to have these
Coolant that way. Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to have these dynos set up to be able to test the engines more efficiently. Time is money. We want to be able to get them in and get it tested and get them done. But the problem with the diesel engines, some are direct injected, some are mechanical injection. So there's different fuel pressures we need for that. And we developed a system, something proprietary on how we could deliver the right fuel pressure to each dyno room. And if we're going to do that, we didn't want anybody tripping over lines and hoses, so we buried all that stuff in the ground. And
So you again efficiencies.
yeah, we what do we want to do, and then let's plan this out so that it's done correctly.
I like it. Another thing I noticed, I was privy to go on the top floor of, I believe, the original building, and I looked in these windows and I saw row after row of cribs of baby. No, it was engines. It was engines, all the same. Is that right? Don't you?
Yeah.
What is that?
460 Fords.
And there's a lot up there.
There's a decent amount up there.
And what do they use? What do they use?
They do a couple things. You were alluding to the fact that we produce electricity with them,
Yes.
but
yes.
you may not be aware that we also produce compressed air to run shop tools, and then the water that flows through those engines is actually fed down into our plumbing system, so you can wash your hands with warm water that's actually produced from the engines that are running.
Oh wow! So these isn't that neat, Frank? But it's like row after row. It's something like I envision. If anyone remembers the original movie, The Matrix,
Yeah.
when they showed the
Right.
everyone was in those nodules row
Right.
after row. It's kind of looks like that. It's just everything's the same, and there's these big pipes coming down from the ceiling, row after row after row of all these engines, and they all look the same. They're all running. There's this noise. You don't know what to think. I didn't know what to think.
What is going on?
What's going on here, Jasper?
Yeah.
What are they making, for crying out loud? Well, by golly, they're doing efficiencies and coming up with great ideas to do what? Serve their customers the best they can. And you really have two customers. I believe you have, I myself as the owner of Crown Car Care and our organization is one of your customers. But ultimately the customer is the mom driving the minivan to soccer practice. She's ultimately your final customer.
There is. We actually have 3.
Oh, who's the third, Gary?
Our internal employees.
Oh, that's right. That's it.
Because I'm working for the people in Indiana to make sure they have food on the table and an income, and they're working.
That's
for
right.
me.
I never thought about it
So
that
we have
way.
internal customers. You're our customer, and then your customer is ultimately our end user.
End user is and then very interesting, and it's been a happy, fabulous hour here with you, Gary.
Yeah.
We welcome you back
Hey,
anytime you
thanks for
want,
having me
and it's just a great story, great success story. It's really a good Americana hometown. Good guy does good type story, almost not a Forrest Gump, but that kind of theme is what I'm thinking of. Everything's right about your organization, and we're just blessed that Crown Car Care is part of your organization, and we use your products pretty much exclusively. And it's been a great day and a great week, and happy Thanksgiving to you, Gary.
Same to you.
Very good. What are we going to talk about next week?
Well, I can tell you what we're going to talk about a week before Christmas.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going to figure out how this Santa sled flies.
Okay. Really? All
Yeah,
right.
we got to figure it out. I'm going to have to get a team of engineers
get it-
together, and we're going to really study this thing.
gonna
I
get
may
it-
even be calling Jasper to get some ideas on how
Put it
this
on-
sled flies.
Put it on one of their dynos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They said they got compressed air and fuel.
Yeah.
They got reindeer food.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. They may make it. They make seasoning, by the way. They make everything.
I love the fact that you can wash your hands with water heated up by those engines.
Let me tell you something funny.
I
If you
think
get a
that's-
transmission shipped from them,
Yeah.
in there is a package of a jar of Jasper steak seasoning, and it's the best you ever had.
Really?
Honest to God. It's real
Very
good.
cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
see ya.
you.
Yeah.